Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello. Welcome back to the Life and Happiness Podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. I hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful week. I hope you've been smiling and feeling positive. Like I've been saying in all these episodes lately, despite all the chaos going on, I hope you're trying to stay motivated and determined and feel good still, because that's really important. And, this podcast is all about, I think creating the life that you want and being happy and understanding what happiness really is for you, because I think everyone has a different definition of happiness. There's no way to define it. There's no way to really, I think everyone has a different outlook on it. And I think obviously different things make us happy for different reasons. And with all of the stuff that's been going on in our world, I have just realized some things that truly make me happy. And, some things that don't make me happy that I didn't quite realize how unhappy those things make me. When you're stuck inside of your own house for so long, you start to realize those type of things. But more importantly, I've realized things that do make me happy, things that I've been really missing since all of this crazy chaos going on. And the number one thing, which I'm sure a lot of people are missing right now, is human connection. Hugging your friends, going out for a coffee, even just going for, a walk or celebrating on a Friday night with a group of friends and family, and just feeling connected to other human beings. I feel like during all of this isolation, we've been quite connected to, the news and our phones, our computers. Hopefully you have been trying to get outside and enjoy some nature and feel that kind of connection. We've also had a lot of time to, I think, connect with ourselves and really understand how we're feeling. Like I said, I've realized some things that, make me really happy and some things that don't make me really happy during this time. And I know it's a really, really crazy hard time for people. But for me personally, it's been a big realization for lots of different aspects in my life. And like I said, the thing that I miss the most, which I think a lot of people miss, is that human connection is building those relationships and having those relationships in our lives. And I think, creating connections in our life is so important. And it's so important for so many reasons, which of course I will definitely talk about later on in this episode, is, why those connections are so important and how we can make those valuable connections. But I just want to touch on first that, due to the circumstances, we miss that human connection, but we've also found new ways to connect with one another. And I think that's really, really cool. I think it's going to change the way that we do socialize and that we do connect with one another and the way that we just do life, really, because, we figure out, the technology that we have is quite amazing. And I think we realized that before, but we didn't, we never had to use it in a crisis situation where all we had to connect with our friends and family is a video call or a FaceTime or just a regular phone call, and when we're left with only those options, you really see the value in it. For me too, I've really noticed the value in the conversations that I have with my friends and family. I live away from home, and so I talk a lot to my family over FaceTime and video and just phone call or text, right? Through everything that you can. And so I was used to that before. I definitely was not used to only connecting with my friends that way. And, you know, I'm in school, so connecting with my classmates and my teachers and things like that over Zoom and Skype and video chat. It's weird, but it's doable, and you can still feel connected. And I think that's really, really cool. And so today I want to talk about, you know, the importance of connections in our lives, the importance of social interaction. We've been given this term social distancing, which is, to me, it's a weird term, because I think we have still obviously been able to socialize, but yes, in a distant manner over Zoom and things like that. But having to specifically social distance ourselves in person, I just find it such a weird term. It's like it's trying to tell us not to make those connections during this time. And I think right now we can actually use technology and these new ways to connect with one another to our advantage. And I think we're all kind of at a learning curve right now of the technology that we have and the ways that we can connect. Of course, with social media, we've been connecting with people all across, you know, all over the world. We know you might have friends that live across the globe, but you see them regularly because they post fun pictures on Instagram or Facebook or those kind of social media platforms. And so you get to see their life and you get to be a part of it in that sense, even though they're across the globe. So right now, you know, you might have friends that are across the street, but you're connected to them, you know, again, through social media and phone calls and video calls. And I think it just gets us to really appreciate our friendships, really appreciate the connections that we do have in our lives. I think this time has also shown us, you know, who we really are connected to, who we truly, you know, have that strong connection with. I think it could be very easy to lose friendships and lose relationships during this difficult time, because you can't just go over and see your friends. You can't make plans on a Friday night or a brunch date on a Sunday morning. You know, we have to go out of our way to make time to do a video chat and to make that phone call and be connected that way. And I have found that, you know, the people that you're truly, truly connected with will make that time to do that extra video call and to phone you in the middle of the day and see how your day's going and to check in. And the people, you know, the people that we are most connected to, we are checking in on them constantly. We are making sure everyone's okay. You know, maybe we're making sure we send them joy and some laughs or anything to help the people that we love get through this difficult time. It's also showed me different connections through work and through my career and things that I'm doing. It shows the people that, you know, are higher above you, maybe your boss or, you know, people that you work with. It really shows their connection to you and how they value you and how, you know, they want to see you still succeed even though they can't see you in person. Just those people, like for me, it's my teachers who are checking in on me constantly, making sure, you know, I'm doing all right, my work's okay, you know, that everything is still kind of on the rolling part of life, and not completely at a halt. And so you see those connections, you see how strong they are, and I just think it's really, really wonderful. And so I've been really trying to look on the positive side of this pandemic and everything that we're going through, and that's what's inspired today's episode. It's just those connections that we make in life are so crucial, and in times of crisis, in times of, you know, rare cases like this pandemic right now, you really see how valuable those connections are, and you see who you are closely connected to. And it's just made me realize that I want to continue to better those connections and make them stronger, but I also want to connect with more people. And with, you know, technology and everything, of course I knew we could connect with people all over the world, right? That's our life that we're living in right now. But now I really see, you know, how to do it. why we should do it, the value in connecting with people from all over the world. It's really cool to see communities come together and people doing things for others during this time. And I find that there's just been so much kindness, and there's been so many people that are doing things to bring the community together, to bring people in so that they feel like they're a part of something, that they are still connected and socialized, and they feel like they aren't alone. And I think it's pretty cool. Something that has, made us physically push apart has, I think, emotionally and, mentally kind of brought us together in a sense and brought us closer. Distance always makes the heart grow fonder. I strongly believe that, when your friends or your family go away for like a long trip or something like that, and you miss them and you really, really appreciate that connection in your life when they're gone. So to sum up my little rambling on, I'm just saying I've really appreciated connecting with people right now, and it just got me excited to talk about connections in our lives and why they are so important, and how we can build more connections, and what those connections can do for us later on in life and right now, and just the happiness that they can bring us. So it is time for a little bit of a break, but when I get back, I'm going to jump into all of that information, talking about making those connections and holding on to them and sustaining those connections. Even if it's someone across the globe, we can still have those meaningful relationships in our lives that I think are super crucial for our happiness. So don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Version of you. you know, and it's not just like, I'm not saying a relationship is as in, you know, your significant other. It can be any type of relationship, whether it's a relationship with a family member, a friend, your boss, you know, a coworker, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. If that person encourages your personal growth and helps you grow in any sort of way, I think that is such a positive connection to keep in your life. And don't we, you know, I say this all the time, you want to surround yourself with like-minded people, surround yourself with people that are motivated and determined, and then you'll be more motivated and determined as well. And the same goes with, you should surround yourself with people that push you to be the best version of you and push you to grow, because that's what we want. We want to grow. We want to succeed. We want to achieve our goals. And so when you have that relationship to help you, I think that's really wonderful. And I think another really wonderful thing about it is when that relationship can be fully positive. There's no jealousy, there's no remorse, or, you know, there's no regret of anything. You just want what's best for each other. You want to see both of you succeed, right? You want to see your friend succeed, and they want to see you succeed. And I think that is the definition of a healthy, positive relationship. And I think it's super exciting to see somebody that you are connected to and someone that you do care about grow. And if you're a part of that growing, like, that is so cool. Like, do you have a friend that you've been friends with forever? You know that friend you have when you're younger. A lot of people are very lucky to have a friend when they're super, super young, and they get to have that friend for their entire life. Whereas others, you might not have those type of friends. You might have had, you know, really great friends at different stages in your life. But as you've grown up, you've connected with new people. And I don't think, you know, the timeline of a friendship, you know, defines whether that friendship is good or bad, or whether it's, you know, going to help you grow or not grow, or whether that connection is stronger. You know, of course, if you've known the person a very long time, you have that deeper connection. But I've met people that I've known for, you know, a day, and you just feel so connected to them, because sometimes we just meet people and you just click. And if you've ever had that connection with someone where you just meet someone for a very short period of time, you feel like you've known them forever, you feel like they know you so well, you feel like you can just completely be yourself around them. Those are the connections that I encourage you to keep making and to have. And sometimes those are rare, to, you know, just meet someone and be so connected and be so like-minded. But if you're able to put yourself in situations where you'll find like-minded people, you know, like your hobbies, you know, join a club of something that you're really passionate about, and you're suddenly going to, you know, become friends with people that are passionate about the same thing. And that's exciting. And you can easily make that connection because you have that thing to hold on to that you both love. Which is why I think our friendships get, you know, better and better as we grow up, because we're actually friends with people that like doing the same things we do. You know, when you're in school, when you're in, you know, junior high and high school, you are just kind of friends with everybody. You're all kind of just thrown in the same building, in the same place, and you're friends with who you're friends with. Whereas when you grow older and you get to start picking, you know, if you go to college, university, you pick a new career path, maybe you move towns, you know, things like that. That's when you actually start to get to define your path of who you get to connect with. And that's when we build really, really meaningful connections in our lives, when it's associated with other things that we're passionate about and that make us happy. Best friendships are the ones that you can share your passion with and your hobbies and things that you really enjoy, and they can help push you to enjoy them more and push you outside that comfort zone. Another positive, you know, relationship too is the ones that give you endless support during tough times, especially. Like I said, during this pandemic, you really see the people that you're connected to and not connected to as well. You know, your friends and family that you hold dearly to your heart have probably, you know, checked in on you multiple different times during this whole chaotic thing that we're going through. And so when you have that support during positive, great achievements, that is amazing. But having that support and that shoulder to cry on, or that friend to laugh with, or, you know, that person just to rant to and talk to, during the tough times, that really shows how strong your connection is. And so hold on to the people that are there through all of the hills and valleys of life. Because not everybody that you meet and not everybody that you're friends with or build a relationship with will be with you through all the hills and valleys. There's definitely connections that you will make, that you hold on to when you're in your highs. And then there's connections that you make but you'll hold on to in your lows. And that's okay to have those types of connections too. And I think that's also super beneficial to have different types of connections. Obviously, we have different connections in our workplace. We have a different connection with our boss compared to how we would have a connection with our coworker who's working at the same level as us. And so we have to appreciate all different types of connections and different levels. And sometimes it's just not appropriate to, you know, spend time at all the low times, the tough times together. But you have that friend that's always there to cheer you on during those high times. And I think that's also really important too. We can have all different types of friendships and connections, through all our hills and valleys. But of course, we're going to hold on to the ones closer to our heart that are there through all of the hills and valleys, no matter what. When we have relationships that just automatically create feelings of pleasure and joy, that add more meaning to your life, I think that is so, so beautiful. When you meet someone that just gives you another reason to be breathing, that's super cool, especially if you're at a low point or if you've experienced any type of mental illness that has brought you down and that has, you know, taken you to a valley and kind of left you there for a while. When you make a connection that all of a sudden just gives you more meaning to life, that is one of the most beautiful things. It's just something that gives you another reason for breathing. And I think that's super cool. And this doesn't just have to be people either. I'm going to tell you a quick story about one of my best friends. She was having, you know, a hard time, and she decided that she felt so disconnected from, you know, people. She was lonely and things were tough during this whole thing. And she decided to make a connection that she knew would bring her lots of happiness and joy. And she bought a puppy. And first of all, the dog is the cutest thing ever. And it has given her another reason to wake up every single day and be happy and to live for this little furry cute little thing. And it's just another connection that she has in her life that brings her more meaning to her life, and it brings her pleasure and joy. So it doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be a human. It doesn't have to be a dog either. Whatever kind of connection you want to make, that's going to bring you happiness, that's all that matters. So if you want to go buy a puppy, if you want to, you know, go hang out with a friend, or you want to hang out with your stuffed animal that you've become best friends with and you make that connection with and they make you happy, so be it. Connect with anyone and anything that you can that's going to bring you joy and happiness, because that's what life's all about, is finding what makes you happy and never letting those things go. And if we never let those things go, then we're going to continue to be happy. And even in our dark times, we'll have those things to look to and, you know, to remember, oh, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm breathing. Like, I understand, you know, I feel good. So I'm not saying go out and buy a puppy if you're feeling lonely, even though sometimes it does work. But just try to find that meaningful connection that can give you more meaning to your life. When we find our place in society, when we become more comfortable in our own skin because we have that more meaningful outlook on life, and we feel that inner happiness and joy, that's what really matters. So finding our place can be difficult sometimes, but once you start making those connections with people and the things around you, that's when really beautiful things happen and you become comfortable in your own skin, and then those connections push you outside your comfort zone and you grow, and it's it's just, it goes on and on and on, and those connections bring you so much joy. So always hold on to the things that add more meaning to your life. All right, it's time for another break, but don't go anywhere because I have more information. I'm talking all about, connecting and why it's so important for your happiness. So stay tuned.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. I'm back. I'm sharing more information about why making connections is so crucial to our happiness. So another thing I want to add about positive relationships is that positive relationships live on through other positive relationships. So let me kind of break that down for you. The relationships that we build, they have a very broad influence on ourselves, and they have a broad influence on our immediate social circle. So if we're connecting with someone that's outside of our immediate social circle, that has an influence on so many different factors, an influence on you, influence on your immediate circle that you have. It can also influence people, that we never knew exist. So when you create a positive connection with somebody else, that person is going to be more motivated to make more positive connections with other people. Our actions and relationships are part of a very large chain of events that actually influence the society as a whole. So have you ever, you might not know that you did this for somebody, but if someone was at a low point in their life and you smiled at them that day or you said something, you complimented a stranger and you didn't know that they were hurting, but you just complimented them because you like their sneakers and I really like your shoes today. You might not know it, but that positive connection that you just made with that person could have saved their life, or it could have given them the hope to, stay alive for another day and to keep fighting. And that positive connection that you made with that stranger about their sneakers, that encouraged them to make more positive connections and continue to feel good about themselves. Now all of a sudden they're, going out of their comfort zone to make other connections because they realize how good it feels to have that positive connection, whether it's with a stranger or not a stranger. We can make connections with people we don't know. And it's, I talk a lot about making those connections with the people we love dearly and that are there for all the highs and the lows, but we can also make connections in our world with complete strangers on an everyday basis by just smiling at someone walking down the street, or, complimenting their shoes, or just, in the grocery store, letting someone go in front of you in line. Simple things like that sends a positive connection to that person, and little tiny things that it's like this energy that goes through you and it makes you happy. And then that person feels that positive connection and now they want to pass that positive connection on to the next person. So don't ever think that a simple smile or wave or holding the door, all those small, kind, positive connections that we do for people, those go a long way, even if it doesn't seem like it. Oh, I just held open the door at the grocery store. Yeah, but maybe that person was having a really bad day and you holding open that door and smiling at them and saying hello just turned their day around. We have no idea what people are going through, but the positive connections that we make with them can change somebody's life. So never underestimate the small acts of kindness that we do. Never underestimate that smile, letting someone go in front of you, because it can make a huge chain effect, and your tiny little smile that was, sent off to a stranger has now sent off to another stranger and another person and another person and another person. And that's how we continue to grow and make our society beautiful as a whole. So continue to do all those small positive connections. On the bigger side of connections, our connections can lead to opportunities, to new business ideas, to, referrals and things that you want. Like I'm talking about career-wise, right? Like if you make those positive connections and you have a very good reference from that person, that can help you succeed in where you want to go in life. That can help you reach your end goal. So make those positive connections no matter where you are or what you're doing, because you never know where that's going to take you. You never know who you're going to meet. I know so many people that are like, oh, I don't leave the house unless I'm on my, I'm looking my best, I'm on my best terms, because you never know who you're going to run into. And I've heard that from so many successful people, because it's true. You never know who you're going to meet. If you're going out on a Friday night and, you're having a great time and all of a sudden you're meeting somebody that's the CEO of whatever, some big company, and you meet that person, you laugh, you have a great time, and then you find out, wow, this person can help me get to my dream, and you make that positive connection with that person, they're going to help you get to where you want to be, because people that we make positive connections with are going to help you succeed. They're going to want to see you succeed. So you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to run into. So always be prepared for those connections in your life. The new connections that we make can open up doors for us. They can, make a huge difference in our lives. It gives you the advantage that you might not have access to by meeting somebody that has more connections than you and other positive connections. You also, when you meet somebody and you make that positive connection with them, well, now you're going to be associated with all of their I shouldn't say you always will be, but you can be associated with their positive connections just like they can be associated with your positive connections. And that's where the chain effect goes on, where you're now connected to more and more people. So they introduce you to other positive connections. And, the more connections that we make, the more positive connections that we make, I think, the better and the happier we're going to be. But then there's, those negative connections that we make. And I don't think that we should push those negative connections aside completely, because that's where we can learn. We can learn that we don't want to be connected to somebody, maybe with those values, or that treated you that a certain way that one time. Now you know what kind of people you don't want to be connected to, and what kind of circle you don't want to be involved in. Because I think there's that saying, you're only as good as who you surround yourself with. And I think that can be really, really true. So if you're able to be aware of, those negative and positive connections, then you'll be able to appreciate those negative ones as a learning curve, as, a lesson in your life, so that you can meet more positive connections. How many times have I said connections in this episode? So the more that we, play into that chain effect, the more benefits that we're going to be getting out from those connections. And you never know who you're going to have a long-lasting friendship or business alliance or any of those type of things with, right? We can go meet someone on the street and they can change our lives. So never underestimate the connections that you're making with people, and always hold on to the connections that are meaningful to you and that push you outside your comfort zone and want to see you grow. The people that want to see you succeed are the people that you need to hold on to in your life, the people that will be there through all the hills and valleys, but also hold on to the connections that are above you and that are maybe only in the workplace, because you never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to turn around the corner to, and you never know where life is going to take you, what kind of curveball you're going to be thrown. So I think another really, really important thing with just being connected with people in general is you have to know yourself to really understand too the connections that you have. I think, like I said, when you have a negative connection, that can help you learn about the good, positive connections that you want. But the more that you understand and that you're aware of yourself, then the more you're going to attract like-minded people, and you're going to build the connections that will help you get further in your life and bring you more happiness. I hope I'm not just completely rambling on saying make friends and it'll take you far, which is true. I think making friends can take you far. But I think, being able to really value connections in your life is really, really crucial. And we need to be grateful for being able to connect with people. I'm so grateful for technology. I've never been so grateful for technology in my life, except during this pandemic. It's kept my life going. My laptop has kept my life going, which is crazy. I knew, of course, we had all this technology, but you don't realize how valuable it is to have those connections. And so many people have felt a lot less lonely because they're able to connect with friends and family through their computer and their phone and just technology in general, social media. So never underestimate the value of a good connection in your life. If you're going to take anything away from this episode, I hope it's that. Always value your connections. All right. Okay, that's all the information that I have for you today. I hope it made sense. I hope it inspired you to connect with more people and to value your connections and understand them. And then, of course, also appreciating your negative connections to help you learn. Surround yourself with the people that you want to be alike too. Surround yourself with people that motivate you and make you feel, energized and positive and good about yourself, and that encourage you to keep growing and being the better version of you. All right. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. I had such an amazing time sharing this episode with you guys today. As always, do not forget to hit that subscribe button to like and follow us on social media and leave a 5-star review. I cannot wait for next time. Stay happy, stay positive, stay healthy. I will talk to you next time. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.